Boruto has instilled fear in Code. Code now fears that he could die if he makes a single mistake during a battle with Boruto and gets caught by the Uzuhiko Rasengan. Code was once arrogant and believed he could easily defeat Boruto. So what has Boruto done to make Code fear him so much? After Boruto obtained Mamushi's Thorn Soul Bulb, he traveled to the Ten Tails dimension to free Bug from his divine tree. However, Code was no longer confident enough to face Boruto head on. Instead, Code set up a trap. He hid himself and waited for Boruto to get close to the divine tree that was trapping Bug so he could launch a surprise attack. This is completely different from the way Code used to fight Boruto. In the past, Code would openly confront Boruto whenever he wanted to eliminate him. Now, he's relying on sneak attacks instead of facing him directly. So what did Boruto do that made Code afraid to reveal himself before launching an attack? In this video, I'll explain exactly what Boruto did to affect Code so deeply on a psychological level that he's no longer willing to fight him directly like he once did. At the beginning of Boruto 2 Blue Vortex, Code launched a surprise attack on Konoha using an army of Glogrimes that were spread across different parts of the village. At that point, Code was not afraid of Boruto at all. So why was he willing to face Boruto directly then? The reason was that Code had already fought both Sasuke and Boruto during the time skip. During that battle, Boruto was forced to use his karma. In the end, Sasuke sacrificed himself and allowed Code's Glogrimes to devour him, trapping him inside a divine tree where he remains unconscious. Sasuke did this so Boruto could escape and continue training, building on all the skills Sasuke had taught him. Because of this, Code still believed that Boruto was not strong enough to be a real challenge. Even after all of Boruto's training, Code thought he could defeat him easily. That overconfidence made him bold enough to target Sarada during the surprise attack on Konoha in order to lure Boruto out of hiding. During the previous battle, Code overheard Sasuke telling Boruto to protect Sarada before he sacrificed himself. So Code knew that if he targeted Sarada, Boruto would be forced to appear and protect her. This shows just how confident Code was. He did not set up a special trap for Boruto. He simply wanted Boruto to show up because he believed that he and his army of Glogrimes would easily defeat him. In Code's mind, he was much stronger than Boruto. So what's changed? What made Code go from being so confident to becoming fearful when facing Boruto? Code's plan actually worked. Boruto appeared in Konoha and made his entrance by landing on Code's face. He even indirectly mocked Code by saying that this kind of sick thinking was the reason Ada will never choose him as her lover, because it creeps girls out. Code became irritated and turned both of his hands into claws to attack Boruto. However, Boruto easily dodged the attack with a backflip and landed in front of Sarada. At that moment, Code should have realized that Boruto was no longer the same opponent he had faced during the time skip. Boruto had become much stronger, calmer, and far more confident. That alone should have made him question whether defeating Boruto would really be easy. But what did Code do instead? Instead of accepting what he just seen, Code convinced himself that he was still far stronger than Boruto. His pride stopped him from recognizing that the balance of power had already changed. Now imagine what would happen to Code's confidence if the battle did not go the way he expected. What would happen if Boruto completely shattered his expectations in that fight? Code would begin to question everything he believed about his own strength. And that is very important because Code is not a shinobi. The only power he has comes from the white Kama seal, which gives him Ishiki Otsutsuki's compact abilities, but not Ishiki's dojutsu. On top of that, Amado cannot simply upgrade Code with scientific technology because Code hates him for his role in Ishiki's defeat and wants to kill him. So if Boruto proved to be stronger than him, Code will have no clear way of closing the gap. Unlike Boruto, who continues to grow through training, Sasuke's teachings, and the power of the Kama seal, Code has reached a dead end. That will naturally destroy his confidence, make him question his own strength, and leave him wondering whether he could ever defeat Boruto. Code's worst nightmare was about to come true. For Code, it seemed like a blessing that his plan to target Sarada and lure Boruto out of hiding had worked. What Code did not realize was that Boruto had become far more powerful than he expected. During the time skip, Boruto had developed new jutsu, new skills, and new techniques that Code knew nothing about. In fact, Boruto was so confident in his own strength that he told Code to withdraw his army of Glogrimes while he still had control over them. If Code did that, Boruto promised that he would spare his life. Boruto's confidence was not based on arrogance, It was based on the information Kashinkoji had shared with him through his present Shinjutsu, which allows Kashinkoji to see many possible futures and reveal the outcomes to Boruto. Because of what he had learned from those possible futures, Boruto already knew how strong he was compared to Code. Code, however, was still fighting the last war. He believed Boruto's strength had not changed since their previous battle during the time skip. This is shown when Code reminded Boruto how helpless he had been against him 2 years ago. Code even mocked Boruto for saying that he would spare his life, believing that Boruto was simply bluffing. To test Boruto, Code ordered one of his claw grimes to attack. Boruto reacted instantly. In one smooth movement, he drew his blade, sliced the claw grime apart, defeated it, and calmly returned his sword to his scabbard. Immediately afterwards, all of the surrounding claw grimes rushed towards Boruto at the same time. Boruto remained completely calm. Using the Uchiha Genjutsu that Sasuke had taught him during their years together, he effortlessly defeated every claw grime that attacked him. For the first time, Code realized that Boruto had not been bluffing. Everything Boruto had said suddenly became much harder to ignore. Even then, Code still convinced himself that he could defeat Boruto. Instead of accepting the truth, he simply believed that Boruto had become strong enough to fight multiple claw grimes at once. Boruto then certainly tried to show Code just how much stronger he had become. He warned Code that if he continued with the attack, he would lose every one of his claw grimes. Code dismissed the warnings as nothing more than overconfidence. He laughed it off and replied that he had many more claw grimes, making it clear that losing the ones Boruto had already defeated was nothing more than a drop in the bucket. To Code, the claw grimes were simply tools to be used in battle. What Code did not realize was that while Boruto was talking to him, he was secretly preparing his next move. As Boruto stood on the ground, both of his feet remained in contact with the earth. During that entire conversation, he was secretly and quietly observing the planet's chakra in preparation for using Rasengan Uzuhiko if Code decided to fight. In reality, Boruto had intentionally created the entire situation. He wanted Code to believe that he was prepared to kill him, making Code fear for his own life. Once Boruto realized there was no convincing Code to withdraw the claw grimes before he lost control of them and they evolved into divine trees, Boruto activated the Rasengan Uzuhiko. Because Code had never seen this technique before, he assumed Boruto had simply activated the vanishing Rasengan. As a result of that misunderstanding, Code believed he could deal with the attack easily. In his mind, Boruto was still relying on the same tricks, making him think Boruto was nothing more than a one-trick pony. What Code could not see was the invincible planetary chakra surrounding Boruto's body. He also did not realize that if he touched Boruto, or if Boruto struck him with the Rasengan Uzuhiko, the planet's rotation, orbit, centrifugal force, and other planetary force would destroy his sense of balance. The result would be devastating. Code would become unable to fight properly and suffer never-ending psychological damage. As long as the planet continued to spin, he would see everything around him spinning without end. The effects will never wear off while the planet kept rotating. What would that mean for Code? It would mean being completely defeated by the very person he had mocked, belittled, underestimated, and looked down on for so long. For someone as arrogant as Code, that would completely shatter his confidence, damage his pride, and force him to question everything he had believed about his own strength. That is exactly where Code's fear of Boruto begins. When Code heard Boruto say the words Rasengan Uzuhiko, he assumed it was simply another version of Boruto's vanishing Rasengan. However, he could not understand why Boruto was approaching him so openly. The vanishing Rasengan is a long-range attack, so from Code's point of view, it made no sense for Boruto to attack him directly instead of launching a surprise attack. Because Code was basing all of his decisions on the information he had from his previous battles with Boruto, he decided to get close to Boruto and prevent any surprise attacks. To do this, Code surrounded Boruto with multiple claw marks, allowing him to move instantly between them and appear behind Boruto. From behind, Code transformed his arm into a claw and attempted to strike Boruto's head. However, Boruto effortlessly avoided the attack without even looking at Code by simply slipping his head to the left. Boruto then turned to face Code, setting up the next step of his plan. Based on everything Code knew from their previous battles, he believed Boruto's Rasengan could only hurt him if Boruto struck him directly with it. Because of this, when Boruto attempted to hit him with Rasengan Uzuhiko, Code grabbed one of Boruto's arms to stop the attack. While holding Boruto's arms, Code transformed one of his hands into a claw and tried to attack Boruto at close range. Boruto reacted instantly. Using his free left hand, he drew his blade from his scabbard and blocked the attack with ease. At this point, Code had no idea that Boruto's real plan was already in motion. In fact, Code believed that he had completely prevented Boruto from landing Rasengan Uzuhiko. What Code failed to realize was that the moment he grabbed Boruto's arm, the planetary chakra surrounding Boruto's body began transferring into Code's body, silently activating the effects of Rasengan Uzuhiko. Code did not understand what was happening. He only realized that something strange was traveling around his arm, causing him to release Boruto's right hand. He immediately tried to attack Boruto again from close range, but Boruto used the Flying Raging Jutsu to teleport instantly behind him. Now, standing behind Code, Boruto forced Code to react once more. Code quickly turned and tried to attack him again, but Boruto immediately used the Flying Raging Jutsu to teleport behind Code once more, causing Code's attack to miss yet again. This was Code's biggest mistake. He thought he already understood Boruto's abilities based on their previous battles. However, during this fight, he realized that Boruto's movements were far beyond simple dodging. Before Code could even finish saying that Boruto was teleporting, Boruto instantly appeared directly in front of him. When Boruto appeared, Code was still looking towards Boruto's previous location. From that position, Boruto successfully landed Rasengan Uzuhiko. Even then, Boruto was not using Rasengan Uzuhiko at its full power. The true power of Rasengan Uzuhiko has no known limit because its strength depends on how much planetary chakra Boruto observes while both of his feet remain in contact with the ground. During this battle, Boruto observed only enough planetary chakra to trigger the technique's side effects. Immediately, Code's sense of balance was destroyed. Everything around him began spinning without stopping. The effects became so overwhelming that Code could no longer remain standing without falling to the ground. However, defeating Code was not Boruto's true objective. Boruto's real goal was to secretly attach one of Kashin Koji's toes to Code before Code escaped to the Telltale's dimension. That way, Boruto could later use the Flying Raging Jutsu to teleport to the metal marker being carried by the toad attached to Code's body and follow him into the Telltale's dimension. Of course, Boruto did not kill Code. He was able to stop the effects of Rasengan Uzuhiko on Code's body. Even so, the battle left a deep psychological impact on Code. This became clear during the next encounter. After Code's surprise attack against Boruto failed in Boruto 2 Blue Vortex chapter 34, his first instinct was to create as much distance between himself and Boruto as possible the moment Boruto activated Rasengan Uzuhiko. This time, Boruto even challenged Code to attack him. Boruto pointed out that Code had only missed him once so far in the battle and told him to be more confident and come at him, but Code refused. In fact, Code showed no interest in fighting Boruto at all. This was shown when he told Boruto to shut up and saying that only an idiot would fall for such words. Boruto then asked Code how he planned to kill him if he was so afraid to fight him. Instead of answering Boruto or attacking him like he had done before, Code chose to retreat and run away. This shows just how deeply Boruto's strength and the terrifying effects of Rasengan Uzuhiko affected Code psychologically. The arrogant fighter who once wanted to face Boruto head on had now become someone who wanted nothing more than to avoid fighting him directly. At this point, Code will continue to fear Boruto and will not want to engage in a direct head-to-head battle with him. So the question now is, how does Code plan to achieve his goal of killing Boruto? Or will he eventually give up on that goal completely? That remains to be seen as more Boruto 2 Blue Vortex manga chapters are released. If you want to understand how the fight between Boruto and Code played out and the purpose behind why Code is so determined to defeat Boruto, you can watch the video shown on the end screen. Let me know in the comments what you think caused Code to become so fearful of Boruto. Thanks for taking the time to watch this video. I will see you in the next one.